Once upon a time, in a kingdom nestled between emerald mountains and crystal-clear rivers, there lived a princess named Erilyn. She was unlike any princess the kingdom had ever known, not because of her beauty, though she was breathtaking, with flowing dark hair that shimmered in the sunlight, nor because of her royal lineage, though she was heir to the throne, but because of her heart. Erilyn had a soul that thrived on diligence, kindness, and wonder. She spent her days not in idle luxury, but in learning the arts of the kingdom, tending to the gardens, and helping her people whenever possible. The greatest treasure Erilyn possessed was her magical doll, Seraphina. It was no ordinary doll. Seraphina had been crafted centuries ago by a master sorceress, whose magic imbued it with intelligence, a gentle spirit, and an unwavering loyalty to the princess. Seraphina could sing lullabies that healed pain, tell stories that inspired courage, and even help in times of trouble with tiny bursts of enchantment. Erilyn and Seraphina were inseparable. Together, they explored the forests, learned secrets of the stars, and shared laughter that echoed through the palace halls. But word of Seraphina's magic had spread far and wide, reaching the ears of a dark witch named Morwenna. Morwenna was a sinister woman who lived in the shadow of the misty mountains, in a tower woven from black thorns and shrouded in dark clouds. She was cunning, greedy, and consumed by envy. Morwenna craved the power that Seraphina held, believing that if she could steal the doll, she would be invincible, able to bend the world to her will. One cold, moonless night, Morwenna crept into the kingdom, cloaked in a mist of shadows, carrying a sack filled with magical potions. She had watched the princess from afar and learned her routines. The witch's plan was meticulous. She would enter the palace when Erilyn slept, take the doll, and vanish without a trace. But what Morwenna did not anticipate was the bond bet between the princess and her magical companion. Seraphina was more than just a doll, she was a protector. As Morwenna approached the princess's chamber, she whispered incantations, and the shadows twisted and writhed around her. The windows creaked open under her spell, and the cool night air swept into the room. She reached for Seraphina, whose glassy eyes seemed to glimmer even in the dim light. But the moment her fingers brushed the doll, Seraphina's magic awakened. A soft, radiant glow filled the room, pushing back the darkness like the dawn. The witch recoiled, her hand searing as though it had touched fire. "Impossible," she hissed. "It cannot resist me." But Seraphina's voice rang out, clear and melodious, filling the chamber. "You shall not harm the princess, nor shall you claim what is not yours." Morwenna's anger flared, and she raised her wand, chanting dark words that twisted the air with a bitter wind. The princess awoke, sensing the disturbance. Her eyes widened as she saw the glowing doll and the approaching witch. Despite her fear, Erilyn's heart did not falter. She stepped forward, holding Seraphina close. "You will not take her," Erilyn shouted, her voice steady and commanding. The witch laughed, a sound like cracking ice. "Child, you cannot stop me. That doll holds power beyond your imagining. Hand her over, or face your doom." But Seraphina, sensing the courage in her princess, released a wave of magic that shone like sunlight breaking through clouds. The light wrapped around Morwenna, binding her with threads of pure energy. The witch struggled, but the power of loyalty, love, and courage was stronger than her greed. "You underestimate the strength of love and virtue," Seraphina said, her voice gentle yet firm. "Magic meant for harm can never prevail against hearts that are pure." Morwenna's face twisted in rage and disbelief. She tried every spell she knew, summoning shadows, fire, and illusions, but each effort was deflected by the magic surrounding Seraphina and Erilyn. The room shook as the witch's fury clashed with the light, until finally, she was forced to retreat. But the magical bindings did not release her, they grew tighter, until the witch could move no more. Erilyn approached, her eyes calm but resolute. "Morwenna, your greed and cruelty have led you here. You sought power that is not yours to claim. You will answer for your actions." The witch screamed, a high, piercing sound that echoed off the palace walls. The magic that bound her began to transform. Dark smoke spiraled upwards, and Morwenna's tower of shadows in the misty mountains crumbled from within, leaving only a barren cliff where it had stood. Her essence, twisted and corrupted by her own malice, was imprisoned in an enchanted crystal, held safely in the royal vault. There, she could no longer harm the innocent or disrupt the harmony of the kingdom. The kingdom rejoiced at the princess's bravery. Word of Arelynn and Seraphina spread far and wide, not as tales of fear, but of hope and courage. Arelynn continued her daily work, tending to the people, caring for the gardens, and learning the mysteries of the stars, but she now did so with the knowledge that even in the darkest of nights, love, loyalty, and determination could protect what is good and just. Years passed, and the bond between Arelynn and Seraphina grew even stronger. The magical doll became a symbol of hope, a reminder that even in a world of shadows, light could prevail. The princess herself matured into a wise and compassionate ruler, beloved by all. She taught her people the value of diligence, integrity, and courage, ensuring that the kingdom thrived not only in wealth but in spirit. Morwenna's story became a cautionary tale, whispered to children in the safety of their beds. That greed, cruelty, and envy could never triumph over the purity of heart and the strength of goodness. And in the palace, Seraphina sat quietly on a polished shelf, her glass eyes sparkling. With wisdom, a steadfast companion to the princess who had the courage to face darkness, not with fear, but with love. The magical doll's songs continued to heal, its stories continued to inspire, and its light never dimmed, a beacon of hope in the kingdom that flourished under Princess Arelin's wise and gentle rule. The princess herself often reflected on that night when courage had triumphed over evil, understanding that the true magic lay not in spells or enchanted objects, but in the choices one makes, the kindness one gives, and the courage one summons when faced with darkness. And so, the kingdom prospered, the princess and her magical doll remained inseparable, and the witch, trapped forever in her crystal prison, could only watch the light she had tried to claim flourish without her. And the story of Princess Arelynn and Seraphina, the magical doll who could not be stolen, was told for generations, a tale of courage, love, and justice that never faded.